Hi, Brett. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Tony?
Nice to see you today.
Yeah, you too.
So, if it's okay, I thought we'd just spend a couple of minutes and talking about some things that are important to us in this cybersecurity world. It gets kind of crazy. But you've been spending time with AMATAS, right? How did you get to know AMATAS?
Yeah, we've been working together for the last few years. Actually, I came to know AMATAS and Boris specifically through the IT Summit.
Oh yeah, the IT Summit. That's right.
Which is actually where I met you also.
That's right, yeah.
Boris was a speaker. I was the conference director at the time. And I got introduced at the IT Summit. We hit it off. I was really impressed with his expert knowledge and actually how he came across also. Not the normal corporate cybersecurity kind of guy. You know, that's where I first was introduced to AMATAS. It was probably a year or two later that we actually engaged with them at work. But yeah, we hit it off and started the communication at that point. Yeah.
That's great. What problems did you have before getting help in this cybersecurity space?
Yeah, the bank I was at, I've been there since 2011.
Okay.
And truthfully, cybersecurity has always been important, but over the last 10 to 13 years, it's become a lot more important.
Okay.
It's been, I think, come more to the forefront of everything that we do. Is the first thing that we think about is the security of it.
That's right.
And things have gotten a lot more in cybersecurity, or just in general in technology. Things have gotten, I guess, a lot more busy around that, for
Right.
sure. And as we were transitioning into a formal cybersecurity strategy at the bank that I was at, we started to hire some people that they were ambitious, and so they were looking for kind of that next ladder rung to go to, right? And so we hired a few people, we would get them trained up, and then they would move on to a different place. They would take that next job because there was such a demand for cybersecurity people. And at that point, I was like, we need a stable information security department. We can't rely on somebody that leaves every year or two and turning that over. And at the time, I was the CIO of the company, and at first, cybersecurity was reporting through our risk management function.
Okay.
And then it was moved over to me, and I started overseeing both IT and cybersecurity in the bank. And that gave me the opportunity to make some changes, and that's when I decided we're going to go and we're going to find a partner that can stabilize our overall cybersecurity program at the bank. And so that's whenever I engaged with Boris and AMATAS, and we started to develop that relationship, that strategy, and also their BCISO services that they were just starting to ramp up at that time. And so I think we may have been one of the first BCIS services that they provided to another company.
I think so. Yeah.
So it worked out really well. It's been a relationship that really has stabilized the information security strategy that we have at the bank, and I think it's something that I would recommend to just about any company that doesn't have vast resources, because whenever you're dealing with only having one or two people in that line of work within your organization, it's a big risk to rely on just those internal resources. So having an outside partner like AMATAS to their BCISO services was just a really big increase in our capabilities at the bank. And then after that, we've transitioned over to them as our managed security services provider also. We had a couple of different contracts with them, but started out with the BCISO, and then we went to the MSSP a couple of years later, and that's been working out great also.
That's great. From your bank experience, there's a lot of vulnerabilities in the bank, and so this required you to branch out. Were there things that were brand new that you learned about attacks and things
Absolutely.
that were...
Absolutely. First of all, my background is technology, and I've dealt with cybersecurity through my entire career, but at a bank, things get a little more serious. And I hate to say it, but when you're messing with somebody's money, people get really upset if something happens to their money. And so being at a bank, it definitely was having to step up the game and making sure that everything's secure, safe, and that you have a good incident response plan, because that's a big piece of it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, which is what we try in the industry, cybersecurity industry, to get across to organizations, is that it's just a matter of when you're going to end up having some kind of a breach or cybersecurity incident, and you really just got to plan for it. And so part of that is looking for those outside resources that can really provide the extra expertise like AMATAS does when it comes to incident response or forensics, or just really helping you to work your way through any type of incident or event that happens, and having that additional resource and support is just, I can't even tell you how much better I slept at night, knowing that we had those resources available if and when we needed them.
How did AMATAS help you? Was it because now you felt like you could sleep at night? What were the other things that made you feel safe?
You mentioned insurance, and first of all, I highly recommend every company should have cybersecurity insurance for their company, and there are resources that are available through insurance, like if you're breached, the forensics, the incident response, where call up the insurance company and say, hey, we've had an incident, and they will put you in touch with teams that the insurance company has partnerships with. And that's very helpful, and we definitely would use those. But having AMATAS, like you say, as an insurance every day,
right? Anything
we need, they're there to help. Any questions we have, any strategy we need to develop, risk assessments, and just having the vast resources that they have also. So it's not just, we had VCISO services, and it wasn't just Boris. He has an entire team behind it. So they have all of these resources that are available to us, and truthfully, it's going to be probably the value you're going to get out of what the cost is for working with AMATAS is going to be probably better than what you're going to see with a lot of companies here in the U.S. just because they have the option of giving you services at a great price, where some of the companies here in the United States, it's just the costs are much higher. And I'm not so worried about if somebody leaves. I'm not worried so much about that.
Right. So resource, it helps the resources.
Yeah, like I say, it just really stabilizes the entire program.
That's wonderful. Anything else you'd like to share just from your experience with AMATAS?
Yeah, they're a great company. They have a great value system in their company. It's something that's really impressed me is just how much they care for their employees. They keep people happy at the company, and it's just cool to deal with these guys over in Bulgaria. Like I tell my chief strategy officer, when you first meet these guys, it's interesting because they're Bulgarian, so they got the accents and everything.
That's right.
They don't dress and act quite the normal corporate world.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Like, just enjoy it. It's going to be a little bit different than what you're used to.
That's right.
And so I would say that was pretty cool also, just dealing with them and getting to know them and stuff, because they're definitely a different type of company than what you're used to dealing with here in the United States.
Seems like they take care of their people pretty well.
Yeah.
I think if I heard this correctly, they do a lot of things every year for their employees where they try to deal with life and they try to help people be healthy. And I think I heard them do some sort of event where they went up a mountain, right, and then pretended like somebody was hurt. And then they had to bring them back or something like that. Is that what happened?
I wasn't there. I just had heard the stories also, but that the kind of stuff they do, team building, it's really great, and they have an awesome team. And so I've probably dealt with 10 or 12 different people myself personally over at AMATAS, and then the rest of my team has dealt with other people, but everybody that we've dealt with has been professional, knowledgeable. I think they have a really good hiring program. They make good selections on their hires. Throw out one name, Martin.
Okay.
Martin is awesome, and he's fairly new in the cybersecurity world, and I think Boris has been mentoring him and stuff, but it's incredible to see how fast he has picked up, and he's essentially an expert. He's probably been in the field for just a few years, and I've been doing this for over 20 years now.
Right.
But I go to him because he's like the expert on things, and it's pretty cool to see, how good they do hiring and pick the right people. So
that's great. Excellent. We've been here talking to Brett about his experience with AMATAS, and it sounds like AMATAS focuses on building a great team, which translates to taking care of customers.
Yeah, and they're just an extension of our team now. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Brett, thank you for spending time to share about your experience today, and we wish you well. We wish you well.
Thanks.